this is exciting. This is exciting on a lot of levels. This is exciting because my first year as a madricha, 17,000 years ago, Michal was my chanicha. That was my first year madrasha. And then Avichal, who's my cousin, and Eliza, who's a great colleague, and my bat bayit, and my fellow kollel members who were sitting next to me at the Chanukah bayit saying, we need to have a shir, let's do it. And then here we are, which is crazy. And then Em and ID, who are just part of the scenery here, who I just always see, because you're the youngest, the last chanichot you're the youngest alumni here, and you're my oldest alumni here, and it's full circle. So for me, yes, and that. So except for I don't know who's who, but as I was looking around, I was this is so funny that it came out that way. So for me, this is a full half circle, which is nice, which is also a little bit the theme of what we're going to talk about tonight. And it's very special, and I really thank you to Ali and to Simba for the push that night, because really you guys were we need to have this, let's do it, and then we did it. So Yasher Koach on the push, and I really wanted to make a bracha tonight. I didn't know what bracha to make, but I have taught Torah here, and I have taught alumni in other places, but I have never taught alumni in this building. So I think that as something that's beginning something new, and it really the beautiful thing about the bracha of Shachianu v'Kimanu v'Higianu, that all of you started in a different building, or different buildings. Some of you are a lot of different buildings, but you all came back to Israel, which is a beautiful thing. Which is you're all in your lives in your own. So to teach students that we're in a different building here together in Yerushalayim, as I don't know if all of your statuses are that of Olim or Toshavim or student visas or whatever it is, that we can all be able to say together the bracha of Shechianu, that we're all here together learning Torah Midrash Moriah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shechianu v'kiyamanu v'higenu b'zman hazeh. So, I was excited when this came up in Parshat Kitisa, because I love teaching Parshat Kitisa. And then as I was preparing this year, I realized that I love teaching it because I've only taught it to girls that are 18. Now, you talk about Cheda Egel, you talk about temptations and things what happens when you mess up, and how do we feel about it, and all that. It is very much a theme, I think, that people feel when they're here in Israel. And as I started to go back to some of the Torah that I love about Parshat Kitisa, I kept thinking, this is not relevant, or this is not something that I can't have the same Torah that I teach during the year to teach to alumni. And I wasn't sure who was going to be here, or what type of level, or who had caught for anything at 8:30 at night, or what kind of energy anyone had. So I hope there's something in here for everyone. There's a little Tanakh, there's a little Chassidus, there's a little Gemara, there's a little Mishnah, and there's Rav Shimshon Fal Hirsch, and there's some Holocaust. So I think there's something for everyone. And so I'm actually very excited about what I want to say first. Very excited about it, because it's very min hashamayim to me that this that I stumbled upon this source when I was thinking what to do. So I was thinking about Parshat Kitisa for 3 days and trying to figure out how this connects to what we're doing here tonight, how this connects to the concept of Midrash Moriah, of alumni, of where we all are in life separately together, the fact that we're not Shana Aleph. And I think that one of the challenges that we all have, unless you teach here or have been madracha here or whatever, even if that was only temporary, is that it's very hard to feel that same excitement that we all did, that you did when you were here for your year. So what do we do with it now? What do we do with it when we are in the real world? And how does our Torah work with that? And what do we do with it? So I was flipping through Cheda Egel and aftermath of Cheda Egel a lot. And then I was getting frustrated. So I said, okay, I'm going back to the beginning. And then bam, here it is. Ready? This is exciting. Okay. Parshat Kitisa opens up with source number 1. So the Torah, the Parshat Kitisa opens up with Kitisa Rosh B'nai Yisrael, when you count B'nai Yisrael, when you lift them up. And each person, what do they have to do? Zeyitnu. Kol ha'over le'pekudim mechatzit shekel. Everyone has to give a machatzit shekel. We know this concept. We're familiar with it. Everyone has to give a half shekel, b'shekel kodesh, Hashem gera, a shekel machatzit shekel truma Hashem. And then we have kol ha'over le'pekudim miben 20 shana v'mala. You're 20 and above. Here's the Torah talking. Here's the Torah talking to everyone here. The Torah's talking to you, miben 20 shana v'mala. And it's something that I've read so many times I never thought about. I was why is it miben 20 shana v'mala? What happens when you're 20 and above? What happens? So, Rav Shimshon Fal Hirsch, always the man to come to the rescue. Source number 5. This is not in order because if any of you have ever known me, the fact that there's a source sheet that's in print is just a miracle in itself. Source number 5, Rav Shimshon Fal Hirsch talks about miben 20 shana v'mala. What is the significance of the fact that when you're 20, you are expected to be counted as part of the Jewish people, 20 and above? And Rav Hirsch says, Lo lidei olim v'yon kinim sar hamikdash. The mikdash, the care of the mikdash, the preservation of the mikdash, the dedication of the mikdash was not entrusted to people that are young. Mikdash Yisrael eino machriz v'omer havil fnai yeladim. The expectation to uphold the values of the Beit HaMikdash. So Rav Hirsch was not given to the children. There are many things in Judaism that are given to the children. Hu mitzapel l'rotot hagdolim. Says Rav Hirsch that this is about people that are older, people that are 20 and above. Because what happens when you're 20 and above? Et koach hagchaim hagvrim, but it should not say ratzchanut, it should say ritzonot. Ratzach is murder, that's not what it should say. Shifatam, Mikdash Yisrael, korei lanu umazmin otanu la'avodato b'otan shnot gil. Shebehem matchil ha'adam lachshov al atzmo l'knes l'chayei parnasa. Dafka the years where you're worried about your parnasa. Dafka the years where you're worried about bigger things. Dafka the years where you think that you're no longer in a place to be sitting and learning. Dafka when you have to start taking life seriously, that's when the Mikdash calls out to you and says, come back. Come back, I want you to be a part of me. Dafka when you're ben Shimshon of Amala, which is such a beautiful thought. Ha'adam, last two lines in source number 5. Ha'adam Yisrael ne'aseh li'ish lema'an mikdash Torat Hashem. There, Rav Shimshon of Hirsch, it's almost as if like when you're 20, like the expectation of you when you're 20 is that you come back to reconnect yourself to the Beit HaMikdash and to be part of the building of the Mikdash and to the unity of Am Yisrael. Ha'machshavot shu choshev al atzmo v'ha'sheifot shu sho'ef leman atzmo yu l'shem mikdash Torat Hashem. We think that our most selfish years is that when we're younger. But the truth is, as we get older, our time becomes more selfish. We're more self-centered about what we need and how we need and who we want to be with and what kind of parnasa we're going to have and what is a good thing for us, and we become very self-centered. So if Hirsch says that this is dafka coming at the same time we start to think only about ourselves and what we need, Mikdash says, have me in mind also. God says, don't forget about me. Make sure that being part of your truma to Klal Yisrael, your dedication to Torah learning, stay with me. It's dafka not something that's meant to be when you're young, and I think that's a beautiful way. I hope to open up together that the concept of everyone who's in this room right now is mi ben esrim shana v'mala, and these are the years where you're all focused on your individual paths in life, and myself as well. Like I'm not a grandmother yet, but like that we're all focused on our individual paths and what we're doing and how we see our role and our potential in this world. And as we think we get further and further away from this year experience, the truth is that back in the day in the Torah, this is when we would begin. We would begin mi ben esrim shana v'mala. We would begin when we were this age to start thinking about how we connect ourselves to the Beit HaMikdash. So as an opening, I think that that's a beautiful way for us to feel tonight, to remind ourselves or to sort of have in mind the fact that sometimes it's weird and nostalgic to like look back and say, oh, this is where I once was, this is where I used to be. I'm not there anymore. I don't have that like innocence and that excitement, and that's true. And that's a certain stage in life. But now when we're more serious about our lives, that's when the Beis HaMikdash says, that's when God says, I want you in count. So with that opening, so what do we do with that? Right? How does that work with our lives besides being a nice idea? And I think that this week's Parsha has a theme that repeats itself, but not a repetitive theme. Okay, I'm saying it again. It's a theme that repeats itself, but it's not a repetitive theme. And it comes up in very subtle ways that I connected, and maybe you'll say that like my idea is crazy, and maybe you will, and then it'd be nice. We'll have a nice like argument, l'shem shemaim. But I think it's an important idea. I don't think it's that it sort of shows up here. So what am I talking about? The Gemara in Bava Batra, source number 2, says, Amar Moshe l'fnei Kadosh Baruch Hu, Ribono shel Olam, b'met terem karen Yisrael. Moshe said to Kadosh Baruch Hu, b'met terem karen Yisrael. How will the horn of Israel be raised? What will lift up the Jewish people? How will they become known in the world? Amarlo b'kitisa. And Hashem answers him, kitisa. Why is that a thing, right? What is so exciting about Parsha Kitisa? What is so interesting about this concept of Kitisa? That when Moshe says to Kadosh Baruch Hu, how are Bnei Israel going to be raised? How are they going to feel good about themselves? How are we going to push them further? That Hashem answers Kitisa. So then Tivot Shalom, source number 3, brings this Gemara and says, what is going on here? He says, Yod yesh lo ve'er al derech avodah, mashmut inyan mitzvat machatzit hashekel, v'haremez mimena la'avodat Hashem. What is it so special about this concept of machatzit hashekel? And what does it have to do with us? How are we going to be lifted up? How is it going to inspire us? How are we going to feel closer to God through something that we don't do anymore? Right? If I lived in the time of Beit HaMikdash, I could say, I did my machatzit hashekel and I feel connected. So here I am in 2019. How does this help me today? Bior She'elat Moshe, line number 3, source number 3, B'matrim Karen Yisrael. So what did Moshe actually mean? Dahainu, Achar she'Yehudi osek b'nyanim gashmi. That a Jew who is living in the real world deals with his materialistic life. Achilah shtiyah, how is he going to feed himself, what's he going to eat and drink. Banim u'parnasa, his children, his parnasa. Shekol elu mashpilim et ha'adam. These are usually things that bring a person down. They have to worry about their day-to-day living. You have to worry about who's going to buy them, how are they going to get food, how are they going to feed their children. That doesn't make them spiritually connected. They don't feel spiritually connected through all these day-to-day jobs. In came bamet harum karen Yisrael. How will Bnei Yisrael be uplifted? How will they feel spiritually uplifted? And I think that concept of bamet harum karen Yisrael is something that I think we all deal with as people that are passionate of Ovdei Hashem, but involved in the real world, and saying like, how do I stay inspired, right? I think that's the same words as Bemet Tarum Karen Yisrael, right? Uplifted, inspired. Moshe is asking Kadosh Baruch Hu, how are Bnei Yisrael going to stay inspired? How are they going to stay connected? And Hashem says to him, Kitisa. So, okay. So then Tivot Shalom says, Ech yuchal, Banim Parnasah, fourth line, source number 3. Im Kain Bemet Tarum Karen Yisrael, Ech yuchal Yehudi li'tromem Hashem yitbarach. How is a person supposed to feel inspired to God? Because he has to deal with materialistic things in the real world. This week's parsha, our parsha today, is an answer to Moshe's eternal question since time immemorial. How are Bnei Yisrael supposed to remain inspired? Here's a Hasidic idea. So some of you will like it, some of you will be like, ah. So I'm just giving you a heads up about that. Machatzit ramez al chatzi davar. Machatzit hashekel means half. Half. So in the time of the Beit Mikdash, it was a half a shekel. And in our days, dechol pe'ula yeshnei chalakim. Everything you do has two halves to it. Every action that you do has two parts to it. Which is actually a brisker idea, which is kind of funny that he mentions it. But ha-machshava v'ha-ratzon. One aspect of what you do is what the intent behind it. The machshava, the ratzon, what's your emotions behind it, what's your feelings. V'ha-ma'aseh b'foal. And what are you actually doing? Right? You can actually do a mitzvah without having any feelings about it. Or you can have a lot of feelings about how you want to do, but not daven. So, and that doesn't count. Meaning, so like every action has two parts to it. So it says in Tivot Shalom, Haderech l'harim et rosh b'nei Yisrael, 3 lines to the bottom, Yishitnu et machatzit ha'pe'ula Hashem. They can't give a machatzit hashekel today, so they should give machatzit ha'pe'ula, give half of the action. Meaning, make a deal with yourself. Dehainu, she'yarimu et ha'machshava v'hatzon Hashem yiparach. But they should say, okay, my machshava and my ratzon, I'm dedicating to God, and the action itself is not that whatever I'm doing. I'm working at a job, or I'm going shopping, or I'm changing a diaper, whatever. All those things that I'm doing that are not a high degree of holiness, that I keep my kavanah l'shem shamayim. I'm doing this for the bigger picture. I'm doing this for God. God created the world in a way that we can't sit and learn Torah all day. God, we're saying to God, you created a world that we're supposed to learn. We're supposed to be connected to all day, but the world, it doesn't make it possible to sit and learn Torah all day. We have to worry about how we're going to go shopping at the end of the week, and what we're going to do, and how we're going to have a house, and where we're going to live in, and we have so many worries. So how could you have created a world that doesn't make any sense? Your world doesn't make any sense. So Tivot Shalom says it must be that. The Gemara is saying what Kitisa is, instead of that half, that our lives today cannot really be divided 50-50, but to try and keep our kavana and our ratzon in one place, even if the action is a very different place. And to me, that also resonates in a way that I think that, I don't know, you're taking out the garbage, you're paying your electric bill, you're doing sponging, whatever, all those things that you're doing that are just annoying, and you're like, oh, I wish I had time to sit and learn, right? I wish I had time to sit and go to shir, and I wish I had, but it seems to be that the Gemara itself says, Ki Tisa, this covenant of Kitisa is enough to inspire the Jewish people. So how does that inspire us? I don't know, but maybe if we take the words in Tivot Shalom and think about the fact that we can divide our action into the kavanah and the actual action itself, and say this action is for, I'm doing this for God, I'm doing this for the Jewish people, I'm doing this for my family. So if we separate sometimes between the actions and the machshava, that is how we keep the machatzit shekel today. We divide things in half. And I think the concept of the half is, it's always been a beautiful concept, and the more I thought about it this week or last week, more beautiful it became. Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch, in source number 4, it's a very famous line, it's a very famous concept, many people talk about it, but he says, since I was already copywriting Rav Hirsch, I just had to go all the way, Trumato shel hayachid, the truma of the individual, afilu tihi shleima betachlit hashlemut. Even if what you're doing is 100% is perfect, you did something amazing, you gave money and you built a building and you did everything you were supposed to do, right? The ma'aseh was actually perfect. La'olam lo tuchal lihiyot davar shalem. Your action will never be perfect. Nothing you do will ever be shalem. Pe'ulato shel hayachid lo tuchal lihiyot davar shalem. Achen ein hayachid nidrash la'asot davar b'shlemuto. These are beautiful words. The yachid is not meant to do anything perfectly. Not meant to do anything complete, right? The concept of lo lacham lachalik. You're not meant to complete it. Aval hu nidrash li'trom et shalom. I think that when I sat and thought a lot about like where we are in life and what we're doing and where I was, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, and I think that one of the things that, or a few of the things that sort of, I don't know, sit on our minds in the back burner or the front burner or on the high burner or low burner, one is that we're always like waiting for things to be in a certain place, whether we are, whatever stage of life we're in, single, married, with children, without children, all that whole piece. We're always waiting for something else. We're always waiting for our kids to be in a certain place, for our marriage to be in a certain place, for our dating to be in a certain place, for whatever that is, our parnassa, our jobs, our life, our health. We're always like waiting for things to happen. We're always in the sense of like, what's the next thing and what's supposed to happen next. And it's challenging to sometimes think about our lives. It's always like, think about when we're at that next step. Because then we get to that next step and there's another step. Like, oh, well now I'm here, but I need to get there. Or now I'm here, I need to get there. Or now I'm there and my children need to get here. Or I need as a person, wait, where am I? Because I've been spent so much time doing this that I've lost myself. I'm in a parnasa that I don't like. I'm in a this that I'm in a community that I'm not happy with. Whatever it is, there's always things that we're waiting for. And we often hold ourselves back, and separately, from doing things because like, I can't do it the way I used to, right? If I can't learn, Parsha, Shtai Mikra, I'm not going to do it at all. On a very basic level, on a much bigger level, that because we can't give it our all, sometimes we don't give it all. And that's when I think about myself, that sometimes when I can't give it my all, I don't give it all. And I think what Rav Hirsch is saying here, and so many people have said it also, which is the concept of Machatzit HaShekel is God telling you, you don't have to do the whole thing. Whatever you do, meaning built into the Torah, the mechanism of whatever you do is good. Not perfect, you shouldn't be complacent, but just do something. Even if it's a Machatzit HaShekel, even if you can't pursue your spiritual goals and your religious values the way that you would have once, the way you did 5 years ago, or what you can't go to shul every day. So you're not going to go to shul, on a very basic level, on a very simple level, or the much more intense levels. You can't give that kind of tzedakah, so we don't give tzedakah at all. We can't go to shul all the time, so we stop going to shul. We stop davening, or bracha, whatever those very simple aspects of Avodas Hashem and the more complicated aspects of Avodas Hashem. And here in the Machatzit HaShekel, the Torah is opening up with the concept of whatever you do, you can't do it perfectly. So don't stop yourself from doing things because you can't do them perfectly, because built into the mechanism of the Jewish world is that you can never do anything perfectly. And that's what the Machatzit HaShekel represents, that you give your truma and it still will be half. Meaning we're dependent on each other for success, which is a different part of this piece, but we're dependent on each other for the success of the Mikdash, for the success of our relationship with Kadosh Baruch Hu. And waiting for perfection, or waiting for things, or how far we go is, I think, one of the themes that the Torah seems to stress in our parsha this week. So with this idea in mind of Machatzit HaShekel, of knowing that like however much we do, it's never going to be enough. So one could say, because it's never going to be enough, I'm not going to do anything at all. Or one could say, because it's never going to be enough, I'll just do what I can do, because I know that it can't be perfect. So if I know it can't be perfect, I'll just try, because there's no expectation that everything has to be complete. It says the Torah says in the I took out the psukim accidentally when I edited it. In source number 1 in the 5th line, in the 4th line, Asher lo yarbev hadal lo yamet. The very basic concept of the Machatzit HaShekel, that the rich person can't give too much and the poor person can't give less. Everybody has to give exactly the same. Everyone has to give exactly the same. This is an idea. I'm very blessed in Neve Daniel to have a learning community that I run with every Shabbos. It's a bunch of women that are 20 years older than me and more than that. And I'm always inspired what they learn. Something I learned with them. One of my first times I sat and learned with them, and it always stayed with me. In source number 6, Rabbi Nachman of Breslov says, "Asher lo yarbev hadal lo yamit." Right, the rich person can't give more, and the poor person shouldn't give less. It's very simple. It's very basic, very Hasidic, but there's something very powerful here. Shizeher kol achad shelo yavo lidei geut. Right, the person should have gaiva. Right, Asher lo yarbev. The person, I can give more. I'm going to give more. Right, don't think so highly of yourself. Right, you're not that great. Right. If we have to give 20 shekel for whatever it is, and everyone gives a shekel, I can give 20 shekel, cover it all. Everyone gives the same. But there's something else here. But the opposite also rings true, which is which is crazy. It's a beautiful concept. You shouldn't have anava that's puzzle. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough, meaning I can't give enough, or I can't give what I can give, or I'm not good enough to give. Says Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, it's a much longer piece. This is just the piece where he points it out, the part where he points it out, is that sometimes in life we have the two opposite things. We think like we're too good, I'm too old for it, I'm too good for it, or I'm not good enough. And Menachem Bresler says either one of those extremes is a bad one. If you go through life thinking, I'm better than this, and I'm too old for this, and I'm too good for this, and that's gaiva. But you can also have a number that's puzzle. Hadal lo yamit. Don't minimize yourself. Don't think you don't have what to contribute. Even if the poor person has to contribute, even if the poor person has to give his machatzit shekel. So he takes that one step further into our lives and says, if you have a number that's, I'm not good enough, I'm not ready enough, they're not going to choose me for this, I shouldn't apply for this job, I shouldn't try to get this, I shouldn't apply for this fellowship, internship, whatever, all these things that wherever I am in life, don't have another psula. You should see yourself in a high regard, but not too high, right? Don't see yourself at the bottom, and don't see yourself at the top. So let's talk about that. In the story of Ched Egel, source number 7. Vayishkiu macharat vayalu olot vayigishu shlamim vayeshev am lachol v'shto vayakumu litzachik. And one of the things that whenever I teach this, this pasuk, I think the last 2 words always stand out to me. That Vayidaber Shalom Moshe Lemor. When does God intervene with Bnei Yisrael's action? Not when they build the egel, not when they dance around, not when they serve it, not when they give olot, when they bring korbanot and the shlamim, not when they sit and drink. God's like, oh, that's fine. What happens by kumu litzachek? It's when their attitude gets out of hand, when they celebrate, when they begin to justify their mistake. Right? That's when God said, okay, ad kan. And I think that piece we also sort of sometimes fail with. Right? We mess up, we make mistakes, we have certain things develop as habits, and then we begin, they're not great habits, we're not proud of them, but we begin to celebrate them. Or like the mistakes that we make that we often, once our attitude on these mistakes becomes something that like, it's a lechatchila. Right? Okay, so I don't do this anymore. I'm like, that's okay, I don't want to do that anymore. That's when God says, ad kan. I can handle their mess up, and not when they celebrate that mess up. Not when they celebrate their mistakes. Not when they turn those mistakes into something that like, oh, it's good, I used to be like this, but now I'm not like this anymore. If I used to be a certain way in Avodas Hashem, and I'm not like that anymore, that's okay. It's okay. But if you're celebrating the fact that you're not like that, I used to be so, when I was 18, I was like, no. The minute that you make fun of, oh, that was me then, that's when God says, no. That's when I'm getting involved. So, Moshe's relationship with God and the story in the Parsha of Kitisa, I think is so beautiful. It's really one of my most favorite parts of the Torah. Hashem says to Moshe, Hashem says to them, go down. They messed up. They completely lost everything. And Vayamar Hashem in the 4th line, I've seen these people and they are stubborn. They are stubborn people. Moshe, let me destroy them, let me turn into a great nation. What happens immediately? Moshe begins to go to their defense. He stands up for them. He prays for the most passionate feeling of all time. Right, we're familiar with this that we read on fast days. God, stop being angry. Don't be upset at them. Remember Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. It's a very passionate feel, a very passionate prayer, full of heart, full of soul, full of Mesiras Nefesh for the Jewish people. And then what happens? Vayifen vayered Moshe min hahar shnei luchot deidut b'do, comes back, and now what happens? Luchot masei Elohim chol luchot vayishma Yoshuat kol ha'am b're'o vayomer el Moshe kol melchama b'machaneh. There's a kol melchama. Vayomer. Now it's not clear who said this. Right? I always thought it was Moshe answering him. But it turns out that there are people that think that it was Yoshua kept talking because Moshe doesn't say anything. So there's this weird conversation in Moshe and Yoshua. What's the point of that conversation? Not for right now. Vayehi, the last 4 lines, and this is I think what's important. Kasher karav el machaneh, vayara te'egel mucholot, vaycharaf Moshe. Moshe got so angry, right? Famously, he breaks the luchot, vayshlach midot haluchot, vayshaber otam tachat ahar, smashes them into pieces at the foot of the mountain. He takes the egel that they had created by Yisrof Be'esh, and he burns it by Tchan, and he crushes it by Yizra Pnei Hamayim, by Ashkep Pnei Yisrael. There's a lot of verbs here. He takes the luchot, he throws them, he breaks them, he takes the egel, he burns it, he crushes it, he smashes it, he spreads it on the water. And then he talks to Aaron. He's spoken to God. He's spoken to Yoshua. He's spoken to other people. He hasn't spoken to Bnei Yisrael. Which is so strange, because Moshe clearly is capable of talking, because he's just had conversations with everybody else. But he's so angry at the Jewish people that he can't even speak to them. Right? He's so angry that he just has to do an action. He smashes the luchot, but he can't even speak to them. That anger, I think we have all experienced with different people in our lives, be it significant others, parents, friends, children, whatever it is, sometimes we get very angry at people. And I think that one of the most outstanding pieces of the story is, despite how angry Moshe is at Bnei Israel, he never stops davening for them. That his conversation with God keeps going. He's davening for them. He's going to bat for them. No, take me out of their story. I'm so angry I can't talk to them, but I can always pray for them. That piece of, no matter where our lives are, we're angry at a situation, a work situation, a family situation, a friend situation, a social situation, a community. You never stop davening. You never stop davening, because it's not human that we're not going to get angry. It's not human that we're not going to get angry at people that we love or people that we care about. But despite how angry he can't even speak to them, Moshe speaks to God. Moshe continues to pray. Moshe prays for them. And even if he can't find the words to have a conversation with them, that conversation doesn't stop. The one between Moshe and God. The one between Moshe and Yisrael stops because he can't. He's too angry. He's too angry at that kind of response, and he breaks the luchot. And that image of Moshe standing up there pleading for them, and then not even saying anything to them, not even saying, I prayed for you, I'm so angry I can't talk to you, but I'm still going to daven for you. Someone sent me this story this week, which it happened to resonate very much. I don't even remember who, I think it was from Aaron Steinman, but I might be misquoting it. Maybe you saw it. It was like one of these that was sent around a lot. That a rabbi once came to I think it was Steinman, might have been someone else, and he said, we have to kick this boy out. He's such a troublemaker. He's yelling in class. He's chutzpah, there's something going on. We have to kick him out. So the the principal says to him, well, what's the boy's name? And he says, his name is Moshe. He says, well, what's his mother's name? He said, I have no idea. He said, you want to kick a boy out that you've never davened for? Right? It's one of those cute little stories, but I really thought about it. I thought to myself, that's me. Meaning, I much get angry at students or things. I don't know, how many times do I daven for the people that I'm angry about? Right? Do I know the mothers of the students that I've been upset about? No. And that's with students, and that's in my profession. But in all of our worlds, we get angry at people, or we feel bad for them, but we have to daven for them. Right? We have to, and that's what Moshe is doing here. No matter how much you think they've disappointed you, and how much you think they're capable of more, how much they just were over there, now they're over here. We don't stop that prayer. The Gemara in Masechet Brachot, which is brought up in a bunch of different places in the Talmud, talks about what happened to those luchot that were smashed. And the Gemara says here, and it's expanded upon in Masechet Shkalim, luchot v'shivrei luchot v'nachim ba'aron. The broken pieces of the luchot were put in the aron. Right? It's a little bit like when you break glass, sometimes people have that minhag to collect the glass and put it. That's what it reminds me of a little bit. Luchot v'shivrei luchot v'nachim ba'aron. The smashed pieces of the first tablets were never discarded. They were put in the aron. Right? So maybe that's a familiar concept, maybe it's not. But I think what it symbolizes is that our mistakes and our places where we mess up, and whether it's with God or in relationships or in our job, those places that we mess up, they're a part of us, and they're meant to accompany us, for us to learn from, for us to build on, for us to gather, not to leave them at the foot of the mountain, not to make that mistake and say, okay, that was a mistake, and move on, because then we never really move forward. We move on, but we don't move forward. We can't rebuild them. We can't put them back together. Why does the Gemara care with the shivrei luchot? It's like you throw something in the garbage, so where the garbage, you took out the garbage, right? Luchot, right? Moshe, Shabrim tachat ahari, leave them at the foot of the mountain. Luchot v'shivrei luchot. Those broken pieces, those things that are not complete, those pieces in our life that are broken, that part of within us that is not full, that is yearning. That's completing God's eyes. That's something that has to stay with us. Those pieces that are halves, that are not full, that are machatzit, you might say, those pieces that are not whole, are meant to stay with us. To care for those things that are not yet perfect, to care for those people that are not yet perfect, to care for those issues that need help, and for our mistakes and our weaknesses and our shortcomings and our places that need improvement. Luchot v'shivrei luchot. They come together, they stay together. Right? Those broken pieces stay with us because they have to enable us to move forward. Like every time I teach, my watch moves much faster than me. Okay, very, very quickly, we're just going to finish this up. I know Moshe has to be home in 4.5 seconds, so we're gonna just move it very quickly. When Moshe goes back up, verse number 9, Moshe goes back up to Shemaim, and goes back, not to Shemaim, Moshe goes back to, talks to heaven, and has another beautiful conversation in the second line, source number 9. And Moshe says to God, and they have this conversation back and forth, and God says, I'm not going to go with you, I'm going to go with you. And if we go down 6 lines, where that pay is smack in the middle of the page at line number 7 or 8. And Moshe says to God, Hareini nat kvodecha, Show me your kavod. Show me your honor. Show me a piece of yourself. What is your honor? What do you respect? What is kavod Hashem? What's kavod Shemayim? I want to do things for kavod Shemayim. I want to do things for the sake of heaven. What is kavod Shemayim? And God answers him, Ani aver kol tuvi al panecha, v'krati b'shem Hashem lefanecha, v'chanoti et asher achon, v'richamti et asher achem, and Yom lo tuchal p'nai k'lo yireh adam l'cha. You can't see my face. And Hashem says, Hinei makom iti v'nitzafta al hatzor. I want to meet you, Moshe. I want to meet you halfway. I want you to climb the mountain. V'haya ba'aver k'vodi v'samticha v'nikrat et tzor v'sakoti kapai alecha v'adavri v'asirot kapai meriti et acharei p'nai le'ru. V'yamar Hashem Moshe. Bring them back together, right? You not bring them back together, but recarve them. Carve them again. And I'm going to write on these luchot, and I want you to get up in the morning, and I want you to climb that mountain. And stand at the top of that mountain. And no one's going to come with you. And then Moshe does this, it's underlined, then God shows him, what is God's kavod? Moshe says, I want to see your kavod. Hashem says, you want to see my kavod? My kavod is your actions. What are you going to do? Right? You're going to climb that mountain. You're going to get up in the morning. You're going to psal shnei luchot avrim. You're going to recarve luchot. You're going to make a new set of luchot. And you're going to climb that mountain. And you're going to come towards me. And the closest you're going to get to me is on that mountain. You can't go further than that. Because the mountain is the highest point on earth that man can get to on his own without needing any help. Right? Shir lamalot Sinai el harim anyavu. David HaMelech says, and the question is always asked, why does he say Sinai el harim? Find the Sinai el hashamayim, al yarech, al hashemesh, right? There's things that are much higher than the mountain. And one of the answers is that the mountain is, like we said, the highest place that man can reach on his own. Anything further, he needs an airplane, a helicopter, wings, I don't know. He can't get anywhere further. Man has to put in as much as he can put in, but even when he puts up as much as he can put in, it's only halfway. He can only climb that mountain. He can't get to the heaven. And Hashem says to him, I want to see your actions. I want to see what you're going to do. I want you to do it. And I want you to climb that mountain. And I will come down and I will meet you. Because you can't go all the way. But you know what else you can't do? You can't stay at the foot of the mountain. If a person wants to repair a relationship with God, a person wants to repair a relationship with Am Yisrael, in partnership with God, you cannot stand at the foot of the mountain. You can't stand at the bottom. You have to do something. You have to put in your effort. And that effort is not complete. You're not going all the way to heaven. But you're not staying at the bottom. You're going halfway. And I think that theme, like I said, it's not repetitive, but it's a theme that repeats itself, are things that are not, it's not the full thing. It's not the full piece. It's only part of the picture. Machatzit hashekel, the luchot that are broken, climbing that mountain. God says, I'm going to meet you halfway. But my kavod is in your actions. And your actions, as great as they may never be the full piece. They may never be the full picture. Oh, that's why, because the clock is different than my watch. That's what happened. Okay. And then, okay. Going back, we're going to go back to the piece in 1 second. Just two more things. We're a Purim Katan. We're the month of Adar, Simcha. I wanted to add something about Simcha, and I wasn't sure how to make it not official. And then, last night when I was talking about, I was writing up, my notes, which I left at home. So when I was writing the Machatzit and the part in the Chelek, and I was like, oh, Ezehu Asher Samech B'Chalko, right? It's a beautiful thought that someone who is happy Samech, they're Chelek. A Chelek is not complete. A Chelek is a part. That's what it means, right? But Simcha is when you are happy with where you are. When you are happy, it doesn't mean you're complacent, doesn't mean you're done, doesn't mean your job is done. But it means that you can have Simcha even when you're waiting for something else. And you're Chelek right now. So much so that when I was playing around with Samech B'Chalko more, the Mishkan in source number 11, in the 6th Perek Yavot, talks about that there are 48 ways with which you acquire Torah. We're not going to read all 48 right now, just the two that are underlined. One of them is Simcha, and one of them is a Samech B'Chalko. Meaning, the Mishnah itself makes a distinction between Simcha and Samech B'Chalko. You would think they're the same thing, right? Simcha means if I'm happy with my Chelek. So I didn't have enough time to think about this because I woke up in the middle of the night thinking about this. So I didn't have enough time to think it through, but I've been thinking about it all day. And I think that it's actually a very powerful message. That you can be samech in your chelek, even though it's not complete, even though when you're waiting for something else to happen. You can be samech in your chelek. I'm happy with where I am, even if I'm upset about, I don't know, the world or something that those two are very, very different things. Right? I don't have to rejoice in everything in my life right now. But I can be happy knowing that I'm doing God's will, and God will help me out when He needs to. I'm putting in my own chatzira shekel. I'm samech in my chelek. What is my chelek? My chelek is the chatzira shekel that I am putting in. And it's not yet where I want it to be, or I reach the stage that I want, but I'm waiting for the next stage. And maybe I'm not one of those people that is happy and joyous all day. And I don't walk around, spreading smiles and love. But in terms of my life and my individual place and my chelek, I'm samech b'chalko. And that's one of the ingredients with which you can acquire Torah. And I was looking at all this stuff this morning, and Rashi sort of hints to this, is that one of the reasons this is the way that you can acquire Torah, and I might be paraphrasing Rashi here, but what he says is that when you're samech b'chalko, you're not running after other things. If I'm samech, if I'm okay with my bank account, now it doesn't mean that I'm happy with my bank account. If I'm samech, if I'm not happy with it, then I'm always running after more. And if I'm running after more, then I don't have time for Torah. That's what Rashi says. If you're samech with your chelek, then you could say, okay, I'm happy with where I am because it enables me to learn more Torah. If I'm someone that's rodef kesef, or someone that's rodef this, or rodef attention, or rodef whatever it is, I'm always looking for something else. I'm not samech with who I am. And when I'm not samech with who I am, I don't have time for Torah because there's too many other things happening. But if I can change the perspective, and if I can adjust that perspective, being samech b'chelek, I'm happy with my chelek wherever it is, and then I have time for Torah because I don't have things that are more important than that. I'm not running after things. I don't have priorities that are making me crazy. The last source, and then we'll bring it all together, or if it isn't all together yet, is something that maybe it's the Poland part of me that's not going to pull in with Midrash Moria that had to make an appearance somewhere in this year. But there's a phrase that is mentioned both in Hashem's tefillah and Hashem's conversation with Moshe and Moshe's conversation with God. And that is the piece of Am Kshe Orefu. In source number 7, when Hashem is so angry at the Jewish people, Vayom Hashem al Moshe, Reiti de'amazev v'nei Am Kshe Orefu. The nation is a stubborn one. I want to destroy them. I can't deal with them. They are stubborn. I can't deal with them. It's a midah that I cannot deal with. And when Moshe talks to God, it's in the bottom of the last sheet, for the last 3 lines. Yelech Hashem b'kerbeinu ki am kshe orefu. And Moshe is pleading on Bnei Yisrael's behalf, and he says, God, come with us, ki am kshe orefu, right there, stubborn nation. But you just took exactly what God, the midah that God used to say that this is why I want to rid myself of Bnei Yisrael. Moshe says, no, because they're kshe oref, come with us, stay with us. So is kshe oref a good thing or a bad thing? Right? If the fact that the Jewish people are stubborn is the reason that Hashem doesn't want to be with Bnei Yisrael and wants to destroy them, then Moshe should not use that. That's a trigger word. Don't use that as trigger. And Moshe takes the trigger word, he says, come with us, ki am kshe orefu. Rabbi Yitzchak Nissenbaum was a big rabbi of the Mizrahi movement before World War II. He was killed in the Warsaw Ghetto, and he had a lot of beautiful drashot. This was a drasha written before the war, but it's brought down in Fackenheim's To Mend the World, and it's a beautiful drasha. And Jonathan Sachs brings it in also, and he talks about this piece of how could Am Kshe Oref be something that God used to want to destroy the Jewish people, and Moshe uses it in order to encourage God to stay with the Jewish people. They are indeed abstinent people. When they have everything to thank you for, they complain. Mere weeks after having your voice, they make a golden calf. But just as now they are stiff-necked in their disobedience, so one day they will be equally stiff-necked in their loyalty. Nations will call upon them to assimilate, but they will refuse. Mighty religions will urge them to convert, but they will resist. They will suffer humiliation, persecution, even torture and death because of the name that they bear and the faith they profess, but they will stay true to the covenant their ancestors made with you. They will go to their death saying, Ani Ma'amin. This is people awesome in its obstinacy, and now that they're failing, it will at times far into the future be their noblest strength. I happen to love this piece of Torah, and it's something that I say to the girls every year when we're in Warsaw, staying at the memorial for Muslim, that Am Kshe Oref was the reason that God wanted to destroy the Jewish people, and Moshe says, you're right. That stubbornness is their weakest flaw. They are stubborn, and they will make terrible mistakes, and they will mess up, and they will be stubborn in relations with each other, and their stubbornness will cost them a lot. But that stubbornness, which is their greatest failure, will also be their greatest virtue. Because that stubbornness will enable them to stay faithful to God. And I think if we have to take some of the midot, or some of the things that we into our lives, or into the world outside of here, this is one of those pieces of, there are places in us where we are stubborn with people that we care about, people that we love, be it our family, our children, our boss, our partners, our friends, just stubbornness comes out a lot in our relationships. But maybe that stubbornness that often is used to destroy things could also be used for us to renew our commitment to those who we believe in. Maybe because we're stubborn, we neglect certain parts of our Jewish practice. Not like worshiping idols, you know what I'm saying, like in a small way. Maybe that stubbornness should re-inspire us to stay committed to that. I'm going to end off with the pasuk in in our parsha this week with Moshe's response to God showing him his kavod. And Vayemeher Moshe Vayikol Artzav Vayishtachu. And Moshe bows down. And those of you that have traveled with Vicky know that one of Vicky's things that she loves to quote is from Rav Soloveitchik is this concept of I surrender. I can think of a million things and I can deserve all these things and I don't have it right now, and there to you, God, I surrender. And that's, and Rachel's going to come in, and Moshe, come on, finish it, yeah. And Moshe is doing that. Moshe says, God, to you, God, I surrender. But I don't surrender from the bottom of the mountain. I surrender from the top of the mountain. You can't, your lechatchila point can't be a surrender. You can't give up. You can't submit yourself. You have to put in yourself. Moshe has to climb that mountain, and from the top of the mountain, you can surrender. And that, I think, is the beauty of that whole scene, ending off with Moshe on the top of the mountain, climbing as high as he can, but also subjugating himself and saying, okay, I've done my all, I've committed, I've tried, I've put in my all, and I can't get to that next step in life right now, but to you, God, I surrender. Okay, this is what you want. You want me to be in this chelik right now? I'm samech b'choko. I'm samech with this chelik. So, thanks to Bracha for coming and making me finish. I hope that this theme, like I said, which is different parts of Ketisa, whether it's the Shadow Luchot, the Machatzita Shekel, coming up halfway, that Parshat Ketisa is about things that are not complete, are not whole, like parts in our life that we're just waiting for the next thing. And Luchot v'Shivra Luchot Munachim Ba'aron, those pieces that are not whole, that are shattered, that are broken, a part of us that we're upset about, that they travel with us. They are part of us. They are weaknesses that accompany us. And hopefully, just like Rav Nissenbaum said, that our kshe orif, which is a negative trait, can turn into a positive kshe orif. So too, that we should be zocha, that our negative traits, we use them for positive. We use them to move us forward. We use them to build. That the luchot are meant for us to continue to put back together. We should be zocha to be samech b'chakod, samech in our chelik, even when it's not whole. To know that it's not same thing as simcha, but it's one way to acquire Torah. To know that, check this out, we banish Shim Shana V'Mal. I was telling them that the Torah opens up with talking about people that are 20 years and above, right? But the sense is, this is when the Mikdash wants you. So wherever your place is in life, the Mikdash is calling out to you, banish Shim Shana V'Mal. And not when you're young like this and you've got too many things done. Dafka, when you're busy with the world, God says, I want to be with you. I want a partnership with you. So we should be zochah to feel that we are always partnering with God in whatever our lives are, and wherever our lives take us. And we should be able to continue that excitement and learning Torah together and sharing Torah together.